Good morning, CAC, North Little Rock, and Pleasant Valley. This is going to be one of our last times to have kind of these chapel times together. I hope you have enjoyed, even though it's not as good as being together at the North Little Rock campus or at the Pleasant Valley campus. I have enjoyed being with you during these chapel times. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Today I want to talk about one of my all-time favorite movies ever. The Lion King. If you have Disney Plus, or maybe if you have this DVD at home, you've probably seen the Lion King, maybe the animated version, and then they've made this new live action version too that a lot of people like. I really like the original version, and I've watched it so many times. And my favorite scene from that movie is when Simba and Rafiki, remember, is that crazy monkey that he runs into kind of one night. Simba's feeling a little bit bad for himself and not sure exactly what to do. And Rafiki teaches him some lessons with a stick and is also telling him that he knows where his father is. Mufasa. Remember, Mufasa had died, and Simba felt so bad about his dad dying and felt maybe even a little bit responsible because he thought that it was his fault. And so he blamed himself. He felt so ashamed, and he felt like he didn't belong anymore as a part of his family where they lived. And so he ran away to get away from all of those feelings and to just live this new life where he was basically just living for himself. Hakuna Matata, right? No big deal. And he runs into Rafiki, and Rafiki's teaching him this lesson. He's telling him that he knows who his father is. He knows who his father is. And Simba says, well, I'm so sorry to break it to you, but my father's dead. And Rafiki says, I will show you your father. And remember, they chase and run through these bushes and things, and Rafiki stops him right at the bottom of this river, right? And then tells him to look down there, is what he says, right? And Simba kind of crawls over to the river bank and looks down into the water and sees his father staring back at him through his reflection. He knows it's just water, right? And then he starts to think, it's not really my dad, right? But then this huge cloud comes, right? This great part of this movie where Mufasa is coming through this huge cloud, and his paws are hitting through the sky, and he's talking through this thunder cloud with a deep voice, right? That sounds kind of like Darth Vader. And he says, Simba, you have forgotten me. And Simba says, no, how could I? And Mufasa says, you have forgotten who you are, and thus forgotten me. You are more than what you have become. It's one of my favorite parts of any movie. I love that scene. I love the scene of Mufasa talking to his son, that moment that Simba gets to have kind of with his dad. And even though it's somewhat sad, right? Even though Simba's heart is breaking, he's searching to find out who he is, he's reminded that who he is wrapped all up into who he belongs to, right? Who he belongs to. And that's true with us. That's true with us. Who we are, our identity, who you and I are, okay? No matter if you are in pre-K 3 or 4 or kindergarten or first grade or second or third or fourth or fifth grade, who we are is so wrapped up into who we belong to. As you got to celebrate Mother's Day yesterday, you kind of celebrated that part of who you are is wrapped up into you belonging to your mom, or being the granddaughter or grandson of your grandmother, right? When Father's Day rolls around, you'll be reminded that you belong to your father or your grandfather, or maybe you belong to a church, right? And those people that you go to church with, right? You belong to them. It makes up some of who you are. You are at CAC, and even though we're not there together in person, right? You belong to Mrs. Custer and to Mrs. Posey and to your teachers, right? You belong in a way to me, right? We are a part of that. That our community of people wraps up a little bit of who we are. But ultimately, the big picture, right, is that you belong to God. You are a child of God. You are loved by God. And part of who you are has to do with you recognizing that you are His. And whenever we forget who we are, whenever we start focusing so much on just us, right? When we're selfish, when it's just about us, when we're only thinking about us, then we forget who we belong to. And when we forget who we belong to, we forget really who we are. When we forget we belong to these people who love us, when we forget that our identity is wrapped up in all of these other people who have made us to be who we are, and when we forget that we are God's children, we ultimately forget our own identity. That's deep, right? This is deep for a Monday morning. It's one of our last kind of times together. And I wanted to get this to you because I thought it was so important to see ourselves in almost the way we see Simba, in the way that Simba sees his dad. And that we have a dad too, who is telling us, you are more than what you have become. You need to remember that you are mine. Don't forget that. Don't forget that you are God's children. And that He tells us that some of the things that we're going to be able to do with the fruits of the Spirit, you know this song, right? The love and joy, and peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These things are going to come out of us so that we look like who we belong to. Those things that come out of us, those fruits of the Spirit, they make us look like the one that we belong to. They remind us who we really are. When we don't have those things, we're not being who we're really supposed to be. We've forgotten who we've been made for more. We are God's. He loves you very, very much. I love you very much. Mrs. Custer loves you very much. Mrs. Posey loves you very much. Your teachers love you very much. And we can't wait to see you in person. I know we can't do it this week, and we're going to be going through a great summer. Hope you have a great time. And when we get back to school, it'll be so great to see each other and know that we belong together. Love you very, very much. Have a great day.